Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was planning on starting my script for my, deep dive on the Sonic movies, but then I got a video on my For You page that didn't sit well with me about Sonamy, and I was planning on just doing a video of the Sonic ships in general, but then it led me to write out a list of all my Sonic pet peeves, and now we're here. After being in the fandom for 3 years now, I've come to notice things that really annoy me, so why not make a whole video dedicated to it? I'll save my more controversial opinions for the end and start with some that are more mundane. These are all pet peeves related to the Sonic fandom and not the games, because I really only have one for the games, which is the amount of classic style games we keep getting. I love classic Sonic and Sonic Generations and in Mania, but then they kept coming out with either remastered versions of the originals or entirely new ones that are in the classic time period. And he even just showed up in Forces for no reason. All I'm saying is give the little guy a break and come out with new ones for modern Sonic. Anyway, let's start with my first fandom peeve. Now I know I'm technically still new because I've only been here for 3 years, but that's still long enough to talk about this. I understand wanting to hate newer fans because they don't know that much about the piece of media, but you can't get upset at them. Older fans were new at one point too, so why not just help them instead? The new fans that do actually annoy me are the ones that say they know about Sonic, but in actuality they just like the aesthetic of Shadow or Knuckles. I know those characters are cool and all, but don't say you're a fan of Sonic when you can't name anyone else. I'll definitely keep this one more brief because I still want to make that other video, but some older fans want nothing to do with the Sonic movies. They think they aren't accurate to the games and get everyone's characterization wrong. The movies aren't supposed to be exactly like the games, it's its own universe. I personally love the movies because we get to see Sonic interacting with more humans, other than Eggman, and we get to see him grow up with a family. Found family tropes are one of my favorites, and seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all act like brothers just warms my heart. Plus, the Sonic movies gave us Agent Stone, which I feel gives Robotnik more humanity than in the games. Don't get me wrong, he has Orbot and Cubot, plus Sage and Metal Sonic, but having an actual human as one of his companions just makes it feel more real. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not liking the Sonic movies, but immediately bashing it and other people that do just isn't cool. If it wasn't for the Sonic movies, I wouldn't be where I am today. The second Sonic movie is the whole reason I even looked into Sonic. Plus, at least Movie Maria got to see Earth, so that's a win in my book. This one I can somewhat agree on. People aren't a fan of how Sonic's personality has been portrayed in recent media, and I can see why. In Sonic Prime, he was clueless a lot of the time and just wanted to save his friends, and movie Sonic is pretty childish and reckless. However, we have to remember that Sonic is for kids. Not to say that's an excuse for the way he acts, but we can't get too mad. For movie Sonic, it makes sense because he is a kid, so he's going to be childish and he is going to make mistakes. He's trying his best to be a kid while also having to save the world several times. Prime Sonic can be annoying with his actions at times, but in that show he really does think with his heart. I do wish he still acted cocky like in the older games because that does feel more like Sonic, but sometimes it was a bit much. Having your hero cocky 24/7 just doesn't make them likable. Sega and Sonic team need to find that perfect balance between playful and boldness. When I was younger, I had watched a few episodes of Sonic Underground and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as Sonic Boom here and there. Sonic X was the first Sonic show I watched in full, and I can see why people like this one a lot. I watched it in dub because I just prefer it, and I found it to be very charming with its episodic way of storytelling. However, this isn't my top show out of all the ones we have. It's definitely tied for first place with Sonic Prime though. I just don't see why we have to say one show is better than the other when they're all unique and have different ways of telling a story. You can totally say you prefer Sonic X over any of the others, but you shouldn't bring other people down and tell them they're wrong for having their own opinions. Speaking of others' opinions, why is it that when you think differently in this fandom, you're immediately wrong? What's so wrong with everyone thinking differently? Tell me why I commented on a video clip of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric saying, They could never make me hate the Sonic Boom games, and I had several people say that I'm trying to be different. I would hope so. I've never played the game, so it's not like I can say the gameplay is peak, but I enjoyed the story and I found the style interesting. So, yeah, I said I liked the games. Why is that a problem? Do we want everyone to be mindless drones that only agree on the most mundane things? My favorite thing about being part of a fandom is having friendly debates and sharing new ideas. So why bring others down for being different? I can understand wanting to feel cooler because you've known about a certain topic longer, but you don't have to be an ass about it. I know exactly how these Sonic fans feel. It's a form of jealousy, at least for me. I run into a few videos where some of these fans complain that the new fans don't know anything. Instead of complaining, you can teach them things. These fans also hate hearing anything new about Sonic. They are blinded by nostalgia and it shows. All they talk about is SA2 and Sonic Unleashed and how we're never getting games that good again. Those types of fans are so toxic and honestly exhausting to talk to. I understand that you grew up with these games, but can you please just be positive for once in your life? Can you move on? Can you find joy in something new and still enjoy what's old? This one I saw firsthand twice, and it's been bothering me for a while. When Sonic Frontiers was announced and some gameplay was shown, there were people that said the game was going to be trash. You haven't even played it! How do you know? There were people saying the gameplay looked awful, but I feel like we shouldn't trust IGN half the time anyways. But seriously, once the game came out and people were playing it, they still said it was terrible. I don't know if we played the same game because Frontiers might be my favorite Sonic game. It's up there with Sonic Riders. However, 2 years later, when Sonic X Shadow Generations was announced, with some gameplay shown, I got a video that said, Sonic X Shadow Generations is a waste of time. What? Again, you haven't even played it. How can you say it was a waste of time? I never watched that video because, to be honest, I was way too angry to even think about watching it. I just don't understand Sonic fans at all. For some reason, they're so afraid to have faith that a Sonic game will be good. Nothing will ever be as bad as Forces, and to be frank, that game isn't even all that bad. But they're not ready to hear that. On the topic of Sonic fans hating new games, they straight up just hate anything new that is coming out. Sonic Colors? Terrible. Sonic Lost World? Awful. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric? Disgusting. Sonic Forces? The worst. You get it. I literally don't understand why they have so much hate in their heart. They don't give these games a chance at all. They have no faith in the Sonic brand, and I don't know if they ever will. As soon as they see something slightly off about the game, they immediately want nothing to do with it. Why? Sure, they can be corny and they can be easy to play at times, but that's what makes them fun. Like, do you want a game that requires you to be impossibly perfect with an extravagant story that's super meaningful and has hours of cutscenes? That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. Obviously, I want Sonic games with deep and at points grim storylines, and I want somewhat difficult gameplay, but sometimes I want a Sonic game that's super silly and pretty laid back. That's why the Sonic X Shadow Generations bundle is so good. Sonic Generations, while at times a little sad and difficult, was still pretty bright and laid back. I wasn't struggling to get S ranks, and I was actually enjoying myself. And when I wanted more of a challenge, I would play Shadow Generations. And that's how I felt with Frontiers as well. It was a good balance. All I'm asking from the Sonic fandom is to be more open-minded about these games and believe that there are people out there that like it. Not every game can be catered to you. You have to take the good with the bad. Okay, to calm myself down a little bit, let's talk about Amy. I used to be one of the people that didn't like Amy because I was basing her off of what I saw watching Sonic X. Don't get me wrong, Amy can be pretty cool in that show, but for the majority, she was getting on my nerves. All she would do was try and get Sonic to like her, and she only ever thought about him. I love a girl that has a crush, but good lord, Amy, calm down. It felt like that was all there was to her personality. You can even see that in older games, and even when she was first introduced in Sonic CD. I'm not the only one who didn't like this portrayal either. A lot of fans criticized Sega and Sonic Team for that. Although, in new Sonic games, she's not thinking about Sonic 24/7. She has her own goals and ideas that actually make her feel more independent, and I love it. However, older fans, once again, are very enthusiastic about the change. I really don't know why having Amy show less interest in Sonic is a bad thing. I would much rather her be herself with little hints of having a crush on Sonic. I think the main thing that pushes people away from her new characterization is the people that ship Sonic and Amy together. As far as we know, there are no canon couples, and I hope there never is. I like the subtle hints they give in the games that they like each other, but I would never want them to actually be together. This isn't because I ship Sonic and Shadow either. The beauty in having no canon couples in a fandom is the freedom people have to ship whoever they want. You can have people that ship Son Amy, and you can have people that ship Son Ado. At the end of the day, it's all personal preference and interpretations. Before I go more in-depth on my shipping opinions, let's talk about something that's more lighthearted. When I first saw this meme, I thought it was a little silly, but nothing that made me, laugh out loud. Over time, people kept using it more and more, which made it very irritating to see. Every chance they got, they would make that joke. Now, it was funny to see the meme end up in Sonic movies, but can we give it a rest already? It's not funny and never really was. It could definitely just be a me thing, but we gotta let it go. I'm beating a dead horse with this one, but I feel like I have to defend this with my life every time this topic is brought up. The major problem is the argument. Sonic and Shadow are rivals. They hate each other. First of all, there is a difference between rival and enemy. A rival is when two people are competing for the same objective or for superiority in the same field or activity. An enemy is a person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So that automatically debunks that argument. People also say that neither of them consider each other as friends. I never said they were best friends or anything, but they definitely care about each other. Shadow might find Sonic annoying, but he's still an important part of his life. On the Sonic channel describing one of their wallpapers, it says, "In fact, perhaps Sonic is the only person who can get so up close and personal with Shadow and say something to him that reaches his heart, though it often doesn't. In a sense, his kind of presence is troublesome, but it is also one of the most important ones. You cannot tell me there isn't some form of care and trust in that." Another quote from that same post. "If there is one thing that can be said about them, it is that they're both a rare presence that can seep into the other's inner depths." Again, I don't care if you don't ship Sonic and Shadow. It's not for everyone, but I'm tired of having to explain myself over and over again. This one irks me the most, like an unexplainable rage. I've been seeing this more after this one video that I saw on my For You page. It's always TikTok, where this person was excited that Sonic beat the allegations because he held Amy's hand in the DC and Sonic crossover. All because he held her hand instead of her wrist? Some of these Son Amy shippers are worse than Son Ado shippers when it comes to finding evidence. First of all, we have no idea what Amy's characters' preferences are, and I really don't want to know because some of these characters are too young to be dating. I know Sega took the ages off their profiles, but I don't care. Tails is still a kid. Secondly, if we're being real, Sonic probably wouldn't date anyone because he likes the freedom. He enjoys being able to do whatever he wants, whenever. Like I said, the best part about shipping in the Sonic fandom is that people are free to choose what ships they enjoy. Why are we finding any possible way to make sure Sonic can't be gay? Why do we pick and choose what gay ships are okay and which ones aren't? I got a comment on my TikTok asking about other Sonic pet peeves people have, and it said they don't like the people that ship gay ships because it's forced, but they're totally okay with Whisper and Tangle being together. How does that work? Why do we see one as being normal but the other weird? What's the point of having representation when you only prefer one? You can't have your cake and eat it too. And this isn't just the Sonic fandom. All fandoms do this. There are some ships that should never even have crossed people's minds. One that I've seen way too often is Sonic and Tails. Hello? Tails is literally a child? Any ship with Tails or Cream or any of the child characters should never be a thing. And more recently, I've seen Shadow and Maria being shipped together. What? They obviously have a sibling dynamic, so why are they being paired together? How did we come to that conclusion, guys? I've also seen Silver and Mephiles. Did we even watch the same cutscenes? Did you even look at the story? And yet there are still people who say that I'm crazy to think that Sonic and Shadow should be paired together. I also advise you not to look up the list of ships in the Sonic wiki. I will never be the same again. For now, that is all my Sonic pet peeves. I'm glad to finally get this off my chest, and I can stop repeating myself to my friends. You can absolutely disagree with the things I said and can debate in my comments as long as you're nice about it. Except for the pro ship stuff. I will immediately block you. If you actually made it this far, I appreciate you listening to me rant about this low-key insufferable fandom. I'm never leaving it though, even if it causes me stress. Anyway, my next video will for sure be about the Sonic movies, and after that I'm not entirely sure what it'll be, but hopefully I don't take over a month to post again. And with that, I'll see you in a few.